Hi there, everybody. I'm Jordan Toronto, and welcome back to Discover Me TV. Today, I have Erin Manker with me, and I'm super excited to talk about your acting career. So, and anything that we might, decide to talk about. Have you been acting all your life?
Pretty close. People always ask when I started, and I don't know. I read too much as a child, like at the dinner table, at the breakfast table, going up and downstairs. My parents did midnight raids on me to make sure I wasn't reading under the covers, which I always was.
Most parents are worried about.
I always was. And then I went to an elementary school with some public arts funding, and they had a class play every year, and I did my first one, and I was like, this is like mainlining reading. so I didn't stop, basically.
Aw, so pretty much all your life, everything you can mostly remember. And before that, just reading every second.
Every second, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, but then acting kind of became the favorite thing.
Yeah.
Did you know, I guess, early on that you were like, this is what I'm just gonna do for the rest of my life?
I guess I wasn't thinking that far ahead. We probably live more in the present when we're that age.
Yeah.
And we don't participate in capitalism yet, so we don't know all the plans we have to be making and all the money we have to be accumulating.
How I do this, right? I'm just doing it.
Yeah, I'm just doing it, and I just kept wanting to do it. And I went to my local junior high school for 6th grade and was miserable there. Like, they had an acting program, but the final performance at the end of the year was like a lip sync performance to various pop songs. It was no good. It was no good at all. No, it was terrible. So my parents kind of caved and sent me to OSHA, and I had an amazing time there.
Wow.
I met the teacher who will always be like the teacher for me.
Oh, who's that?
Amy Louise Sibelius.
And it's OSHA?
OSHA, Orange County High School of the Arts.
Oh, right. Got it. Yeah. I have heard. That's amazing.
It is. They have a culinary program now. They didn't have that when I was there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're promoting that too. Yeah. So do you have a twin? You have a twin? That's so cool.
It is. I highly recommend it.
If you can make it work, which you don't usually have control over.
I think having a fraternal twin is the best deal around.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I honestly think growing up that way had something to do with my acting ability.
Oh.
Just in the sense that, I was never alone. I was always aware of another person. I always was aware that she was a full human being with her own feelings and experiences. And I think that kind of strengthened my empathy muscle pretty early on, along with the reading, the imaginative exercise and all that. But I think just always having someone really made me aware that there are lots of someones. There are lots of someones, and probably kept me from feeling like I was the center of the universe. I think it's easy to do.
Yes.
Before you
learn.
And
so especially a twin, maybe more than even just a sibling of a different age, because you're literally just sort of
going through
living parallel lives, but realizing even though we are so similar, we are total separate someones. I love that there are a lot of someones. Yeah. Are you very similar? Are you very? I mean, obviously, probably like any siblings.
There's a nice little combination. She's a dancer, very athletic. She did gymnastics while I was reading. I was very sedentary, and she was very active, but she draws. She just wrote a book. She just wrote her first book. She's amazing. She, I don't know how much was, her decision to kind of take a more practical path while I did this. I wonder sometimes if that kind of twin thing kind of, people get into this dichotomy where it's you have to be different. You have to do different things. And it's
well, I think that can happen with siblings. I mean, I have a sister who's 3 years older, and I think there were definite times when I think I was oh, she's the actor, and then I was singing, and so I would have to be well, she's that and I'm this. And so isn't that such a weird thing?
That we block off traits and think we don't have access to them
she
because
took that.
Someone took that already.
Yeah.
And it's no one's got a monopoly on talent or creativity or anything like that.
I know.
So
and I think that can
strange.
That is strange. So yeah, but she seems happy in what she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Me too.
Wait, is it just the two of you, or do you have other siblings?
Oh, no. My parents didn't know they were having twins until 5 months into the pregnancy. So, yeah, we don't even have middle names. That's how rushed they were. So we were all they could handle. They always were like, okay, are we doing zone defense or one-on-one?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. Bless their hearts. I just can't imagine.
They did. I think they did okay.
It seems like they did. That's awesome. So is there a particular, I don't know, is there a particular moment that, I don't know, that has been a turning point for you? Maybe, I mean, we're doing Discover Me TV. So besides even just the acting thing, are there sort of life moments where you feel like, yes, I made a distinct discovery about me? Or
I had a really hard time in college.
Okay.
Just moving from like a very challenging environment at my arts high school and moving into some place where it felt like people wanted to be told they were good enough to be on TV already and not really do anything more.
They didn't want the challenge.
They didn't want the challenge.
Because when you say you were in a challenging environment, that was like challenging good.
It was really good.
Stimulating.
Yeah, like I feel like more growth happened during my high school than in college. But just kind of getting into the text that we're all working with, or, you know, the pantheon of like American playwriting, or even, you know, Shakespeare, which we all love to do. So I started doing more male roles in college. And after, I played Iago in Othello a couple months ago.
So cool.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Was it a dream? I mean, maybe it's a dream role you didn't know was a dream role.
Oh, I actually, I've been wanting to do that role since I was 16, actually. I took a Shakespeare villains class in high school.
What a cool class!
It was the best. That was with Amy Louise. But even starting that young and kind of, like, we all did Iago. Everyone in the class did Iago. Everyone in the class did Richard III. Everyone did Aaron the Moor. And this was
in high school.
This was in high school.
That's
and
so
just
cool.
like the idea that, like, you could take a group of like 20 to 30 students and make them all do the same text and see what kind of interpretations would come out of it.
So different.
Was just better than anything you would see on the BBC, or maybe not, but just more inventive, more personalized.
Yeah.
Just like a totally different take on it. And
so neat.
I just love
to get
that
opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly that high school was significant in just how you saw, like, I don't know, your opportunities as an actor, the possibilities.
I think that teacher in particular, like, I really latched onto her, and we remained friends long after I graduated. She passed away last year.
Oh my. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she's got to be quite the guardian angel then for you and others, I would assume.
I hope so, but she's probably busy directing something up there. She's like, I'm sure she dove right into it.
She's like, I'm in tech.
Yeah, I know. She's like, I
you.
can't deal with you right now. I have to, like, get this one angel through this monologue or whatever. No.
I bet. Oh, I bet. That's awesome. Well, you know, lucky for the angels and lucky for you when you had her. But that's devastating. And it was young. She was young.
She was 47.
Ooh.
Yeah. Colorectal cancer before they even screened for that kind of thing.
Oh,
Thanksgiving's kind of ruined now.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
I'll be, yeah.
Oh, always sort of thinking of her. Well, thankful though at the same time, right?
Oh my,
she makes you so thankful.
If everyone could have gotten to experience this person, like, I wish, like, I'm so mad at myself because I wanted to put her in things. I wanted to write stuff for her. Like,
right.
She was just someone who I really thought the world needed.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just so confusing to be like, how does the world not still have her?
Yeah.
Maybe she can do more somehow now. I don't know. That is just, but maybe she's a little bit, I know that's so cheesy and new agey, but maybe she's like, you get to channel some of her awesomeness through you.
I hope so.
Oh, well, I'm sure. You're freaking awesome. The world loves you. I'm pretty sure. So, bad transition, but you're a they. You're a they! Bad transition. So, tell me about that. Like, where in all of this, or when in all of this, was that, I don't know, quote unquote, discovery, or just sort of maybe evolution into I don't know, realizing, oh yeah, that's totally what I am.
It's hard to know, like, when it started. I think I was always mad about gender.
Really?
Always mad about it. Like,
because it just felt like
it just
very
was
limiting.
like, it's like, like, there's a difference of one chromosome between us, if that. And like, and in lots of cases, like, there isn't even that big of a difference.
Right.
And like, to say, like, to assign like a set of traits
right.
to 50% of the population because one portion of their body looks a certain way, and to completely like kind of divorce a whole nother set of traits from them and assign it to the other half of the population, and never the twain shall meet, just was like, is just...
Even as a kid, do you think now, oh, you were like, what?
I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. My dad makes my lunches. He sews my costumes. Like, my mom's, like, out, like, making money. Like, they were both making money. Like, I was at the YMCA every damn afternoon waiting for someone to pick me up.
Aww.
But just, like...
Oh, please tell me that you were okay at the YMCA.
Oh, I was okay.
Having 3 kids,
I had
and
my
we
twin.
have people going places. Oh, you had your twin.
I had my twin. I was
so
fine.
Nice.
I was just fine. No, it was a good place to be. It was on the campus in a portable. They just
I understand
shoveled
though.
all those
so they were doing
parents' kids in there.
So obviously you weren't looking at them as you are obviously just this and you're obviously just that. So already you had people that hopefully were pretty nuanced.
I had way too many examples in my life of people who didn't fit the paradigm to believe in the paradigm.
Nice.
And I think I've held that for a long time. I'm probably still holding on to it a little bit.
Sure.
But it wasn't until the last couple years where, you know, not that like gender neutral pronouns are a new thing. Like, they've been around since like the 1800s or whatever. Like, there's like 13 different iterations of gender neutral pronouns that people have been trying out. Oh yeah.
Okay, we're gonna need to do a whole video where she teaches us.
It's extensive, but like, I don't think it's come to like the kind of common consciousness until more recently, you know, unless you're like within that community and you're surrounded by people like that, which I'm beginning to be.
Yes.
And I'm loving it.
Great. And I just realized I just used it wrong just now. As I said, she should teach us. I used it wrong. So there you go. Good job.
We're all learning.
I need a little lesson.
But it's like
they is tricky because it's plural.
It's hard to conjugate.
Right. It's just trickier, but it's not that tricky. We can just learn and remember.
But it's funny.
Just...
I remember being in 6th grade and asking my English teacher if it was appropriate to use the word they in the context of like someone whose gender you didn't know. And she blew up at me.
And so already you were asking, and she blew up at you?
Yeah.
So did you take that in, or were you just like... Psh?
Oh, I don't think like I think I'm still processing it in the sense that I don't know that that's like a very uncommon reaction to being confronted with that kind of question or that kind of idea. I think the non-binary idea makes people very uncomfortable.
So they just resist really hard.
Oh, yeah. It's just like... You know, like, my worldview has been shaped in this way with these two opposing forces that I, you know, have been assigned as two opposing forces in our culture.
And anything that threatens that.
Anything that threatens that, like, even though, like, to acknowledge each other as, like, all members of, like, the same species or, like, form of creature is, like, would probably be more helpful to us in general.
Sure. In general, to say we have all that in common. The whole, like, you know, just idea that we're all human. A lot of common things in that.
It's really hard for people. And, like, even to acknowledge, like, the intersex population, which is, like, 1% of the population. As many people as have green eyes or red hair. Like, that's how big that population is. And we don't discuss it at all. We don't talk about people who live in between or are trying to... you know, relate to the world in a certain way.
Yeah.
Which may or may not be aligned with how the rest of the world perceives them.
You know, and yet it's just remarkable to me because I think one of our worst problems, which is what you're saying, is just people don't believe people when they say who they are. And I just think it would be as simple as somebody says, I'm this. This is how I, or I'm this amongst a million other things. Are you sure? That's so maddening.
Is this just a phase?
I know. It's just, and no one would ask me that, looking how I am, if I just said something about me as a woman. No one would say, are you sure? But because it's so...
But because they're not sure, you must not be sure.
And so I always just find it just bewildering how many people are just angry at somebody else, not them, saying, this is who I am. I just think if we believed everyone and just said, okay, it doesn't matter what I get, it doesn't matter if it's me or not me, whoever you say you are, and that being one of a million other things about you anyway, you just believe people when they tell you who they are. What about that?
What about it?
And so I just don't think it would be that hard. And I do think that we have 3 kids, ages 8 to 15, and I do have hope that to them so many more things are just like, duh. Yeah. They're like, oh, they do just believe people. They're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody says this is me.
You took the time and trouble to be vulnerable and open.
Right. I'm not going to, and they wouldn't dream of saying, are you sure, at their age to somebody saying who they were. It's just a really obnoxious adult trait. It's a really terrible, terrible thing, I think, for people in the habit of just thinking that they have any right, any say over who other people claim
just
to
this
be.
Idea socially that we should be able to assume people's genitals by just how they present themselves outwardly, where it's you have no right to know that unless you're in a situation where you might interact with them consensually, at which point that should be the only time it matters.
Right. Yeah. At that point you just honestly, it's true. It's just so maddening. It's just this weird combination of totally repressed, not wanting to know anything, and yet totally
demanding
wanting to know everything. It's I can't know that except that I'm totally fascinated in this weird kind of problematic way, and I must have you tell me what I have no right to know. So, yeah. So that's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh. So that is fascinating. And so that just continues to kind of evolve and be something that, you still just feel like do you feel like you encounter less and less, or the same amount of resistance anytime that you would...
It really depends on the context. I'm with a chorus, the trans chorus of Los Angeles. So nice. I'm in that world nice. As often as I can be. And it's as warm and loving as it gets. And it can't always be that way. Yeah. Because we're not all there yet. But I at least have places where I can go and people that I can be with who know my pronouns, who do their best to use them, and who, just, and who don't even see it as that big of a thing.
Right. Then it can just be just something amongst everything else when you're with people who are just oh, well, that's a given. Mm-hmm. Now moving on to other things.
Yeah, that's a very non-interesting conversation. Let's go on.
Exactly. Yeah. What a lovely thing that we could all get to, the fact that that's just okay, yeah, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you eat today? What did you have for lunch?
So I hope I didn't make it too big of a thing.
No.
But I don't know. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
That was really wonderful. And I so appreciate just so much of what you had to say. And I'm just so happy to have had Erin Manker on today. Thank you for watching Discover Me TV. Do like this video, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.